today is a special episode. We are going to cover Stephen King adaptations. And with me, as always, is my co-host, Tatiana Spur.
Hello, everyone.
And very specially, we've added 2 new co-hosts to our show.
A quad host.
Yes. The quad. So we have Adam Lucas and Allison Gregory. So welcome aboard.
Thank you.
You know, I feel like there's a lot of great symmetry here. And it's always nice to have a whole group that enjoys horror as much as you. So... this was an interesting one. Would you say this one?
I loved it.
Yeah.
Some of us chose a little bit of a longer path in regards to Stephen King.
It's hard to say who.
Yes, so you might they're on one side of the camera.
This side takes up 6 hours
This side's
of
a little
screen time.
ambitious.
Yeah, and $3.99 in rental fees because
Yes.
mine wasn't streaming.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
you're
wait,
welcome,
I'm actually
guys.
going to say $6 because I tried to watch it once and then had to rent it again.
Oh my god.
Later.
That
but
is
I liked
on
it the
you.
second time. It's good.
Okay, good. At least you went back. Yeah, thanks for you guys lunch. You fruit basket.
Yes.
So you might as well tell us what your films were. So let's start with Allison. You thought I was going to say Adam.
Yes,
but
I was-
let's go.
yes.
So let's start with Allison, and
Yes.
then we could all tell our movies. And then Allison, if you don't mind beginning,
Sure.
we'll start with you. So
I love it. Yes, I had the 1990 made-for-TV adaptation of Stephen King's It.
Can you tell us how long that miniseries is?
I mean, it's approximately, it's definitely over 3 hours.
But it's so good it feels like 1 hour.
Thank you. Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say next. I love it. I could go on and on. I'm going to let you.
I went with
yours?
the original 1979 adaptation of Salem's Lot, which is several days played out in real time, I believe.
Yes. Yes.
And I guess I'll go next. Sometimes They Come Back. That was made in the early 90s. And that was one that I never saw before. But I wanted to pick an obscure Stephen King movie. And Tim Matheson's in it. So he's a good actor. I said, let's go with it. And I was pleasantly surprised. Tatiana?
And I picked Children of the Corn. I was on the fence. At first, I was going to pick Mr. Harrigan's Phone, which is like a new one. But it's based on an old short story. It was really good. But then my friend recommended Children of the Corn, so thank you for the recommendation. And I loved it. It was made in the 1980s, and the short story is from 1977.
Love it.
All right, Allison. Let's get into it.
All right, let's do it. So I love this movie so much. Like, first and foremost, I think it is like the only It adaptation that I ever want to see and that should ever be made. I say that with a little hyperbole. I know that the most recently made is it a 2-parter as well? Okay. I know that is beloved and there are great actors in it. I just can't get past what is essentially Tim Curry's performance of Pennywise in this very long made-for-TV adaptation of It.
This is it. Sorry. Had to do
Well
it.
played. Well played. Well played. For anyone who doesn't know the story, it's this adaptation is split into 2 parts, and it tracks basically the plus tax.
Yeah. You see, you're going to be using that more. I use it all the
It's so
time.
good.
If it's good enough for the king, it's good enough for us, right?
I'm borrowing it. So it's basically it tracks this monster and how it's involved in basically these people's lives. So it starts with like the first half of the adaptation focuses on these kids in this small town named Derry. They're a group of friends who affectionately call themselves the Losers Club, and they have to encounter and ultimately overcome this monster, It. And in the first part of the made-for-TV adaptation, they do overcome It. And then the second part is predominantly, we do meet the adults in the first half as well, but the second half is really about the adults coming to terms with It, who has come back after they defeated him as children. And I just think I think there are parts of it that, because of the made-for-TV aspect of it, that are cheesy. The effects are kind of don't quite work, but I don't care. I think they make it all the more charming, specifically referring to, I have so many scenes that I love, but the Chinese restaurant scene where they're all having fortune cookies, and it's just absurd what comes out of these fortune cookies. Or, you know, representative of the specific trauma that each of the kids or now adults at that point of the movie has. I think one like explodes with blood. There's like an eyeball in one of them.
Like a baby bird.
The baby bird, terrifying, so upsetting. And there's like teeth going across the table in another. But I think, you know, I think one of the reasons I love it so much is that it was really this and The Shining. I'll be honest, I get them. I don't know which one was like my actual introduction to horror. They happened around the same time. This came out in 1990. I probably saw it in like 1993. And that's around the time that I saw The Shining as well. And with both of those movies, I was like, what is this? It is so weird. I'm so uncomfortable. It's a different kind of horror. I was only like 10 at the time, but I was familiar with horror as like a slasher or like ton of jump scares, and that is
which
in
was
this
prevalent at that time.
Yeah, which was prevalent, and like I like that too. I love that. But this was the first time, it specifically was the first time I had been so unnerved by something, and it made me love horror as an actor, as a you know, a spectator. I think Tim Curry is a genius in this movie. I don't think anyone can top it.
Take your pick, Billy boy.
And I don't know that like necessarily someone should, right? Like everyone's performance can be their own performance, but I'm just like, what he did in that movie, I don't know how he did it. It's so nuanced and odd, and
just as a performance, there's relatively few prosthetics. There's relatively few effects on his performance.
Yeah.
It is his performance, I think, that really contributes to that.
And like, remember when we watched this like making of it, and they talked about how he was super professional, but I don't think he like was a big conversationalist in between takes and stuff. They would just like, correct me if I'm wrong, but they would basically he was kind of a man of few words, and they would say action, and he would just like immediately be able to turn on this weirdness.
Wow.
Which I guess any great actor does, but I mean, the weirdness, the scope and the range of weirdness that he has to cover, and is like, I'm shocked that he could do that basically at the like flip of a hat, turn of a screw. What's the phrase? I'm not sure
William
the phrase.
James.
Yeah, exactly.
James, I think
Yeah.
The drop of a penny.
Drop of a
Yes.
perfect. That's what I was looking for. Thank you.
And his grin too. I mean, that's the one
so
thing.
weird.
I mean, Bill Skarsgård, he's excellent too because he can pop out his eyes.
He's fantastic.
But I still give it to Tim Curry because I just remember seeing the coming attractions, like when it was on TV, and they would show like the snippets, and one of them he's holding the balloons in the graveyard, and his smile. I mean, that's all him.
So unnerving,
and it's so creepy, and it just hits you like it's like just guttural in some ways, and it's haunting.
Haunting,
and
is the
that's the
perfect word
thing,
for it.
and especially if you're a little kid watching that.
Beep, Richie.
So imagine if you were one of the child actors. I'm sure if you asked them, they would probably say the same thing, that it was scary, especially if he was a man of few words.
Yeah, I'm sure it was incredibly.
I think there's mention in that
unnerving.
documentary of him playfully scaring them between
I
takes.
read that too.
Okay,
Oh,
did you?
Wikipedia, yeah, it said that between takes he would just chain smoke, and if the kids came too close, he would bare his sharp teeth at them to try to scare them because he wanted them to really be afraid of him.
Have you seen the image of him just in the clown costume, and he's just upset? He's like just smoking a Marlboro cigarette.
No,
with
I
like an
haven't seen
umbrella.
that.
It's great.
Oh.
Yeah.
We
He
should
is-
have that in the background.
Yes.
Because it's so out of place,
Yeah.
but so in place at the same time.
I think the first part, the first time you see that, I could be wrong, but I think this is the first time you see his. It's not a grin in this instance. It's like a weird, very scary expression. The first time you see his face in the movie is, I think it's one of the opening scenes where that little girl is riding her tricycle. Her name's Lori Ann. Remember, and she's riding her tricycle and she like sees something.
Oh, that's right. Is that even before Georgie in that version of the film? That's right.
And she sees something in like the linens that are being hung, and so that makes us look, and you see very quickly just his. I think at first he goes high, creepy, so creepy, but then it switches to him with this just incredibly unnerving, terrifying look on his face. And I remember that as a kid being like, that is I am never been more afraid of anything, but also I love it. And I think that was a movie that made me realize, like, oh, I'm very afraid, but I love it. Like, scare me more. So
I think that I listening to a lot of horror interviews. I've heard so many people talk about that film as a gateway into the genre because they were young. They were too young to see horror films maybe in the cinema or even to watch them at home.
That makes sense.
But this was on television, so it was safe. So their parents trusted that they could watch it, even if it was a little after hours. And so a lot of people were exposed to it on television and had this as their first taste of the genre. So I think it did that for a lot of people.
And I wonder if because it had a TV budget, if the parents assumed, like, how bad could it be?
Well, there were certainly
You know?
television codes, right, at that time. So they knew that there were certain things that they could trust weren't going to be shown.
Right.
And I think in a way,
So-
those television codes are what those directors of that and even Salem's Lot had to work around.
Yes.
Right. They had to make certain adaptations. I know even in Salem's Lot, they couldn't have the young boy kill a vampire because they didn't want to see a 15-year-old kill someone. So they had to. So the codes of it, and I think the parents were then able to trust that we're not going to see anything too wild.
Right.
Right.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Usually with those series too, whenever they would have horror series, even in the 70s and in the 80s and then early in the 90s, they would always save a lot more of the horror for like that second hour. So that's where you would see some of that stuff depending on the scope of the miniseries. Like there was one from the 70s called Snow Beast, which I covered on a Mortisect Spotlight. It's hilarious, but creepy too. And they do show blood. They show somebody that's been mauled in a shed. But then they save a lot of it for the end, and then you finally see the Snow Beast, which is like a horrible costume. But they've already built it up, and sometimes the things that you don't see are more powerful than the things that you do see.
For sure.
You are making a great point, which is that I will say, as much as I love this movie, I love this movie so much I will watch it anytime, any day. But I do think for me, when I finally figured out, like, oh, it's a spider. Oh, it's a spider?
Yeah, the clown is the scary part.
Yes,
And the
absolutely.
sewer,
I'm not
and,
scared
like,
of
you
a
don't know
spider.
what's going on in the sewer. And he's just there, like,
why is he
wearing
there?
Georgian.
Exactly.
What does it mean that
he
they all
says,
float?
like, he has like candy in there or something,
yeah,
right?
and rides, cotton candy and rides.
In
Yeah,
the sewer.
and that's way creepier than like, oh, it's a giant spider alien from space.
I
Like,
agree. I was thinking about
Absolutely.
that. Yes.
right? Like that is
I think in the documentary, the filmmakers talk about having that problem as well, where they're like, "This is just anticlimactic compared to what we shot before. How do we make this work? Can we make it work?"
Yeah.
I think they struggled to make it work.
it becomes not scary, but I still love it.
Although I hate spiders, that would scare me too. But
yes, it's a different kind of fear.
Right, I agree,
You know,
though. Yeah.
there's like an uncanny. There's something you can't put your finger. Uncanny valley. Did you teach me that? Yeah, like the idea of like what. Why am I afraid of this clown? I don't know. A lot of weird nonverbal cues. I mean, I think we know why he's totally weird and creepy, but it's harder to put your finger on.
I think when I was a kid too, like the sewer, the idea of like when you're tiny, it's like something you
Yeah.
could fall into that's like pretty
That's a good
unsettling.
point.
Totally.
So it's
Yeah.
like a very good place to have
That's such
that.
a good point. That's such a good
Yeah.
point, and it's hidden from view,
Yeah.
and like a grown
You
up
could be
can't
like
help
playing
you.
and just falling. You don't even
Yes.
know what's down
It's
there.
tricky,
Yeah, that's
completely
such a good
mysterious.
point.
You have no
Yeah.
idea what that is.
You definitely don't know what is in the sewers.
The
as a kid.
fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
And that's what makes clowns scary because they have makeup on their face. You don't really
Yeah.
see the true person underneath.
Yeah, that's so
the same
true.
thing with the sewer. So it
That's a good
definitely-
point. That's
Yeah.
a really good point.
Unpacking a movie I've seen a lot of many times. Yeah,
Learning new things.
yeah.
And with
Yeah.
those good films, you always learn something new, or you pick up something new, or an Easter egg.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
it is a classic for sure.
classic. I
And
love it so
if
much.
anybody hasn't seen it, do recommend seeing it. Now, when you saw it, I mean, not the first time, but for the show, were you able to do it for free, or was there a certain?
It was for free, right? Or did we just own it?
I think it was free on like Netflix or something. I
It's
forget
on
which
Max.
service.
Oh, it's on
Max.
Max.
Oh, cool.
It's currently
Okay.
on Max, I think, with the new. We definitely own.
I was
that
like, I
on
think we also own it. So
DVD.
did we? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome, especially that there's a lot of people that, before streaming, especially, you couldn't watch a lot of these made-for-TV series. Now they're all coming up, so that's what's exciting about. It's almost like a gift again. You forget
Yeah.
about it as a kid, and you
Yeah.
watch it with new eyes, and you say,
Yes.
"Wow, now I know why I originally loved it and why I love it now."
Yes. And I will say one other thing, like watching it, as an adult, I hadn't watched it in a while this last time I watched it, but really relating to the adults,
It's true.
and being like really behind Beverly, like when she leaves that guy who's
Oh my God,
terrible.
yeah.
I mean, you know he's terrible from the start, and you're rooting for her, you know. But when she leaves him, you're like, yes. And as a kid, I was just like, that's adult stuff. I don't, you know.
It's true. It all fell for it.
Yeah, but as an adult, and like Eddie, I think Casper is the one. He's always sick. I'm like, oh my god, he's always sick. That's terrible. Like, I found myself like really empathizing with the adults. I love it.
Yeah. Same, receiving architectural awards and just being unsatisfied.
Having a
Another
loft.
award.
Also,
Having a
like
loft of
success.
meatpacking.
That's right.
Yeah.
the reunion is very relatable when you're older. You know,
totally.
like people from childhood, and then when you get together and what it's like, and
Yeah.
everything's so different. Like, oh, are
Totally.
you married? What's going on? Are you
Yeah.
dating? Oh, I'm kind of dating this guy, but she doesn't want to like say. You know, like it's just like
Yeah.
also relatable.
So relatable, and bringing up stuff.
Yeah.
From, you know, like, oh, last time I talked to you was in
And just that
we were
feeling of
10.
like the nostalgia for like
Totally.
childhood. Like you can just like
Yeah.
taste it when you're watching it.
It's
you
so
know?
true.
Yeah.
It's so true.